Hey Michael, it's Kennedy here. I really wanted to say thank you for taking the time to really do the research on post-traumatic stress disorder and the importance it is with our veterans and even active duty military members. Just a little bit about me. Over a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed and treated with post-traumatic stress disorder. It was for things that were outside of the military, so I hadn't joined yet. And CBT was a big part of it. It did help, and I really think that's an incredible option. Um, would you think that like maybe EMDR could be included in this app? I know that it's mostly done in an in-person session, but I feel like that could be really beneficial here too. And then one thing that really helped me in my situation was exposure therapy. I just want to know what your thoughts would be on maybe like adding an aspect to the app saying, okay, this is your fears, this is where your stress comes from. How about this week we focus on overcoming this fear or facing this one instead, as a not a pushing point, but maybe when people become more comfortable with CBT and embracing the trauma that they went through, maybe giving them more exposure to it. Another thing that you said, which was really interesting, is would this be a symptom treatment or a PTSD treatment? I see them as kind of two very different things, especially in a group-based setting. That's just me asking for opinion. And then what questionnaire would you want to use in the beginning? Like, what's the criteria that one has to meet to be in one of these groups? I know that it probably wouldn't be open to everybody, so would there kind of be a prerequisite of, okay, you're being seen for PTSD, or maybe in the beginning with your questionnaire for like grouping, you could put the PCL5 and establish like, okay, are we gonna do, how long have these symptoms been going on? When did you experience this? What are your symptoms a week, this past month, or maybe this past year? And that's from VA Gov 2018. They have the PCL5 for each of those. So that's really helpful. I think that'd be interesting to see. I don't know what the ethics would be on that. I'm not saying that they would be shared with the other members, but that would be kind of an ethical concern, is like, where is the data being stored and who's seeing it? It was just for thought. And one of the other things was, do participants in the app need to also be seen in person? Because it does help with symptomology, but as we've learned from this course, that there's a lot of comorbidity that surrounds a lot of these mental health disorders. How can we distinguish between the symptoms of PTSD or depression and anxiety? And maybe we could incorporate like encouragement of going to in-person or giving people resources, especially now that online therapy has become a huge thing. And I really appreciate that you, again, are focusing on the veterans, counting that PTSD really wasn't acknowledged until the end of the war, which is sad to say, but not surprising. And I did want to focus again on maybe kind of what I said earlier, incorporating multiple different treatment options in there as available. So maybe having your basis be CBT, or looking at EMDR, which is eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing. It's very time consuming, and it is a very emotional process. So I think that would help get the fears a little bit more out there, get the person's opinion about themselves and how they're feeling about it out there. Kind of an ELDA3 et al. 2024 states that it is great for acknowledging the trauma that occurred and taking the time to realize that it's okay. Just for your knowledge now, I am a year and a half good to go. It was a rough road, but between CBT, exposure therapy, and EMDR helped tremendously. And I can only imagine that having an app in my pocket when I didn't have time to see a therapist would have helped even more. So I appreciate you talking on this topic. Thank you.